Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Chai Tea with Nina D. It's one of our Sunday solos. However, I haven't done these in like 2 or 3 weeks because I haven't been here. If you guys didn't already see part one, go back and watch part one. I actually recorded that one in Italy, which was super cool for me and a very cool experience. It's been an interesting adjustment. And I'll say this, I think I'm doing a lot better than Brian is. He kind of just wakes up, walks outside, looks at the sky and continues to just say, why are we here? And so that's been interesting because I thought it would be the reverse. For me, I landed and I just jumped right back into my emails and work and calls. So I've been a little bit busy. Haven't really had time to like think and compare, but I will say this, it is an adjustment. I can honestly say that I've never really had an issue adjusting. Like I go on vacation, I go on work trips, I do this and do that, and I come back and I'm fine. But I think because this one, as I mentioned in my in the part one episode, this was very much an intentional trip. It was something I've been wanting to do as a little girl, somewhere I've been wanting to visit for a very long time, and I did it with, a very conscious choice of neither of us is going to really be working. The phone is put away. We're going to be present with each other. And most of all, we're going to be present in this beautiful country and just immerse ourselves in their culture. And so now that I'm talking about it and I'm sitting here, there are things and aspects that like I do miss about it already. And it's interesting because when I got back, I actually followed up with Luigi. He actually reached out to me because he saw that I was back and he goes, you're going to now look at life very differently once being there. And he couldn't be more right. It was like the perfect way of how I was feeling, because even though I'm in Miami, I'm not like, post vacation blues. I'm more just like looking at everything with very fresh eyes and very differently. Like, how can I show up here today in my home with the same appreciation that I had there, with the same appreciation that I saw people have for their lives over there? I think that was one of the most incredible things that I got to witness, is how people show up in their lives day to day in Europe, particularly in Italy. Yes, this was a vacation, and yes, it was a moment for me to step away, but I truly like to walk the talk. And I know that from my life experiences, which have been very unique to me, I have been, whether you want to call it fortunate or unfortunate, I don't really know, to go through a lot of things that kind of caused me to grow up a little bit faster. And in that, I had a little bit of, a push-pull, up and down kind of life. I started this company, this was in the works 2 years ago, but it officially launched early this year. And with all of the, obstacles and things that come your way, the unknown, yes, I can bulldoze through my doubts and fears, all day long. Those things do take a toll on you at some point. And I had to step back and kind of just like refresh and regroup so that I could come back and look at things from a different perspective. And it's exactly what happened, to be honest with you. I had to do exactly what I say and what I preach on the show. There were several moments throughout the entire 10, 12 days that we were there where I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm in it. And I know how to get myself out of this and I know what to do, which I'll share later with like the bike tour that we had. Amazing experience, but very fearful experience for me as well. With that being said, I'm trying to build this brand, I'm trying to build this company, and I know where it's going and I have the vision and I have the work ethic, but sometimes when you're in something so deep, and this is anybody doing whatever it is that you're doing, it is very easy to get lost in the details. And it is very easy to focus on one thing in your life, the thing that, provides for your family, or the thing that you have committed to growing, or doing whatever it is that you have to do for your clients or your boss. And stepping away is something that I want to share, because something that I want to share in stepping away was realizing that like life is not just one part. You have your relationships, you have your social life, you have your marriage, you have your partner, you have your kids, you have your own personal stuff and your own life and your own needs and wants and desires, your own mental health. And stepping away is not a sign of weakness. You're not walking away, you're not giving up, you're just recharging. I can tell you this, one of the days towards the tail end of our trip, actually it was actually our last day in Tremezzo. which is on Lake Como. It's one of the towns. And in the morning, we were sitting and having breakfast together, and there's two couples with a whole other table of their kids sitting there. And the guy looks over. You would say they're like in their 50s, and you could tell they're like pretty successful group of people. And he looks over at me, very obviously, and looks over at Brian. He goes, "You guys on your honeymoon?" First off, I mean, I thought that was a compliment. Like, were we giving off honeymoon vibes? I don't really know. We've been married for like 8-9 years at this point. I've known each other for like 14-15 years. So I started laughing, and I was like, "No, not really." And he's like, "Is this your first time here?" We started talking, and I explained to the guy how always wanted to come here, never made the chance, never made the time, always let work trips get in the way, always let other excuses get in the way. But this is our first real vacation that we've taken since 2018, which was our honeymoon in Mexico. And it's been nice. Like, it took a couple days to get used to that. Like, hey, don't reach for your phone. Hey, don't answer that email. But it's been really great. His reaction, I wish I caught it. Like, I wish I had my camera there, and I wish you guys could see. He just like gets back in his seat, and his friend does the same. The wives throw their hands up in the air, and the other guy wanted to get in on the conversation, and he's like, no, I got this. He's like, if there's anything that I could say, he's like, this is unsolicited advice for both of you. I wish I did that sooner. He's like, I still would have gotten where I am today. He's like, and I'm sure my friend over here agrees, who was nodding his head, who was like in the finance department in Philadelphia. And he's like, absolutely. And he's like, I feel happier at work, and I feel better at work, and I'm happier. I'm a better husband. I'm a better father when at least 3 to 4 times a year I step away for a week or more. He's like, and you don't need more money to do that. You don't need more employees to do that. You don't need more time to do that. You need a conscious choice and make a conscious decision to do that for yourself and for your family. And he's like, if you love yourself and love your family, you will take this time away. He's like, so hats off to you guys for implementing this at such a young age as yourselves. And I thought that was just one of those like winks from the universe. Like, you're on your path, Nina. Everything is going to be fine. And not that I needed to know that, but I do feel as though Brian had to kind of, because I could see he was thoroughly enjoying himself, don't get me wrong. But I know that there were moments where I think that he would, especially like in the morning when he would get up, before we would be occupied by things to do during the day, like he would check his emails, but he wouldn't, like it was on a priority basis. And I didn't say anything because this is his part of growing up, and this is his path too. Like, who am I to, interrupt his processing of this entire trip and decision that we made together? And it's funny because then I could hear, Brian responding how good it's been for Brian and how much he needed this and how much he doesn't realize he puts on his shoulders. And he doesn't share a lot with me because he doesn't want to stress me out, but it's like a thing that he does, and he loves what he does. But at the end of the day, he's human too. One of the craziest things that he said that really resonated with me, this is Brian we're speaking of, and he goes, there is not enough talk about people, entrepreneurs, people growing companies, admitting that I do need time off and I do need to step away maybe more than once a year to come back better than ever, because there's such a hustle culture going on. You have all these memes, you have all these podcasts, you have all these reels on Instagram and posts on Twitter about going hard at something and being obsessed about something and this. And he's like, but the higher I climb in my career, the more I find that people are saying, stop, take 7 days off, stop, please do this for yourself. Trust me, your company's going to be better. You're going to be better. You're going to make decisions better. You're going to be more creative. You're going to come up with better solutions that you never would have thought of if you were still stuck in there. And so there has been a really, really, really beautiful theme to the last 10 to 12 days for both of us, personally, individually, professionally, and for our marriage. One of the things that we did the other day, like the last few days we had after part 1, I didn't get to talk to you guys about this because we hadn't gone yet, but this was one of the tours that we actually were going to skip. Weren't going to get a refund, and so we're just like, okay, let's just go. It started really early in the morning, like 9 o'clock. Most of our tours started between 10 and 11, but like we wouldn't get back home till like 11, 12 p.m. at night because dinners are so late in Italy. Like, even if you go at 6, 7 o'clock, they just take like 30 to 40 minutes between each like between appetizers, between your first course, between your second course. And that's not a bad thing. I'll get into that later. But we were having like a lot of early days and late nights, not of our choice. So by the time we were getting to this wine tour, we're just like, we're exhausted. But we woke up and we made it. And I'm so glad we went because we were in Tramezzo, which is where we were staying in a hotel. And from here every day, we would bounce off to other pockets like Menaggio, Bellagio, Verona, all these other places, even downtown Como, we went one time. But so we're in Tramezzo and we take about an hour drive up to the, don't hate me, I think I'm gonna butcher this word, but Vacchiavena mountaintops. And if you guys Google an image of Como or Tramezzo, you'll see that it's just surrounded by these huge, large, like mountains. In the middle of it is the lake. So getting to these mountains and these other towns is not easy. It's time consuming and it's very windy roads. Like I think I got car sick every single time. Like every single day I was car sick, just incessantly chewing gum like a cow in the back seat. When we get there, it's like an hour away. It's like 10 a.m. at this point. The sun's blazing. And it's this town called Damaso, something like that. And the area or the wine is called Domesino. And the winery is called Cantina Sorsato. And they have an Instagram page too, which maybe we'll link below for you guys because they were the nicest people I have ever met. There's like a really young girl who kind of greets us. And I'm just too busy like circling, and I'm sure you guys will see it in the footage, like just looking at, you know, this entire area that I've been staying in for the last 5 or 6 days, but from like a higher vantage point, and it was gorgeous. I mean, beautiful. Pin drop silence. All you can hear is birds and nature, and like even the sun was hitting different that day. I could see down on the vineyard. I could see up on top where their home was. So these people lived there, but like up higher on the mountain. And then this Cantina winery was below. Long story short, this woman greets us and she must have been in her 20s, mid-late 20s, I want to say. Nicest girl, but you could tell she was the boss. Like she was in charge. She knew her stuff. And I'm like, there's no way she like owns this, like or runs this. She's giving us the tour and we come to find out that she is the daughter of the owners. And this family has been making wine for their own family, not the public, for like 7 to 8 generations. And during the tour, she's showing us these old wine barrels that they've had from like 6 generations ago. It was insane how they kept all of their original stuff in every area of the winery to showcase how old this winery really is and how far back their craft of making wine really goes. She has 3 brothers. Her dad is actually an engineer. Don't quote me on that. So he actually knows a lot about, you know, real estate and buildings and mountains and how to carve through and whatnot. It's all going to make sense in a minute. So he's giving us the tour, and it's not that big. It's not a huge winery. It's a very Italian winery. Everything's handmade. I mean, this was just a mountain. Her father's team used jackhammers by hand to blast and carve into the mountain the cellars, just all by hand. And it took like 3 years, I think, to build. No explosives, no fancy equipment, just pure science and labor of love was this winery. So we see the tour, learn everything. We learned that they have sheep and goats and cows up further on the mountain where they live. They have a whole garden up there for their produce and their herbs. And then the winery was a little bit down that I could look down on. And it wasn't a huge winery, but it's good. And they just started selling to the public when this daughter, like when her parents took over. Now her dad is an engineer, but something that her dad and her mom always wanted to do was like have a vineyard and take what their family had been doing for 7 to 8 generations and make it public. So that is what her parents started, and now she and her brothers were moving it forward. And I thought it was like such a wholesome, sweet story, like such genuine, down-to-earth people. Now we get to the food and wine portion of it. I don't drink wine. Lots of reasons, but right now, currently, I'm very reactive to wine. I get very dizzy like later in the middle of the night, even if I have like a glass of it. It just doesn't like go through my system well right now. But Brian is like a wine connoisseur these days. Give him like the best glass of wine and he's going to do the whole like kit and caboodle, like, you know, you're swirling it, you're like slurping it, you're like sniffing it. Like, he knows what's down. You guys will see I tried to do all that, but I don't know how to swirl those glasses properly. I look like a fool. So anyway, we taste this wine and it was incredible, like so refreshing. Nothing like I've ever tasted before, like truly. And I did taste a lot of wines on this trip, but this one was spectacular. Along with it, she gives us some like cheeses. And I'm like, what is it about this cheese? And I love cheese. And I was like, what is it about this cheese that is so good? So I asked her, I'm like, I've never had cheese like this. I've been here for 5 or 6 days, but this takes the cake. And she goes, we make that cheese in house from our cows and sheep and goats up on the mountain. And she like points to where they are. And I'm like, really? And she goes, yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's why this tastes so fresh and so good. It didn't end there. Then the main course was ricotta and spinach, their homemade butter, and a homegrown sage ravioli pasta dish. You'd think that is not a big deal. Like, how many times have I had this dish in my life or something similar to it? I take one bite, and it's funny because I guess like the face that I had made, Brian was just laughing. And he's like, really? He's like, because he hadn't tried it yet. And I'm like, this is the best pasta that I've also ever had. And he finishes his entire plate. I'm like, I want to take this later home with me and not snack later. Like, this is what I want to eat. It was such a great experience. It was such a wholesome experience. And you know what it made me think as I was sitting there? Because we spent like 4 hours there, not drinking, but like eating and just talking and hanging out. What I witnessed in those few hours that I spent there with this young woman and her family and their employees was that they kept their roots and their traditions intact. And to make more, they make about 50,000 bottles a year. To make more than that, or to mass produce more than that, was not a goal. Their goal was to share what their family had done for so many generations with the public to the best of their ability. It wasn't capitalism, it wasn't greed, it was just pure love. And like love for their craft, love for their family, love for the art that their family inherited at this point. And the most beautiful story of all of this was that the mom and the dad, this girl's mom and dad, it was their dream to have a vineyard. And it was their dream to take what their families had done for generations after generations and actually like make a little cantina out of it. And then share it with tourists and share it with people that come to visit Italy and show them what real cheese, what real pasta, what real wine really, really tastes like. And most importantly, what it takes to actually make all of these things from scratch. And so I thought it was just such a wholesome, loving, warm day for both Brian and I. And I think that's one of the days where we truly sat on top of the mountain. Like our table was overlooking the mountain and the vineyard. And just like, it was just us and nature. And anything that we were witnessing around us was just love. It was just love. And you could feel it in the food. You could feel it in the environment. You could feel it in nature. You could feel it in the people. And you were not rushed out of there. Nowhere in Italy were we ever rushed out of. There was not this like, hey, 2 hours up, someone else. You know, this is like a typical Miami thing. And please God, I love Miami. Don't take this the wrong way. But you go out in Miami, you're stressed because you have to get there on time, because if you don't, they're going to charge you $200 for being 15 minutes late or not showing up. So that's a stress in and of itself. And if you know Miami traffic, you know that it's very hard to not be late somewhere. And then when you're sitting and having a good time with your friends, eventually you'll have like a waiter or someone come up and say, hey, we're so sorry, but you guys can move to the bar now. Like, we have a waiting list and we have some people who have reservations to get on a table. It's not like that in Italy at all. They don't want you to leave. They don't even care if you order more things or not. They just want you. It's like being in someone's home and just being warm and welcoming, like laugh, enjoy what we've made, enjoy each other, enjoy the company. They take pleasure in watching you having fun and enjoying your time with whoever you came to the restaurant or winery with, which I believe is a lost art in our modern day society. And I'll get to that because we did spend some time in Milan. Milan is more of like your city vibes, very fast forward, your fashion capital. And they had a little bit of that westernization there, but definitely not to the level that we have it here. I mean, they still had, you know, hang out, take your time, but it wasn't as laid back as it was in Como. So that's what I really felt from the wine trip. It was just very wholesome. And I definitely will go back someday at some point. And we did end up ordering their wines too. Like, that's how good it was. So I have a confession to make on this trip where I keep saying like, it's not a work trip and we're not working, we're not doing this. And I'm the one who's driving this forward for both of us. After the wine tour, we spent like, I would say till like about, we were there till about 4 or 5 o'clock. And then we came home and crashed. I mean, I think that was the first day we took a nap. Like, I mean, I'm talking like walked into the hotel room. He was standing on this side of the bed, passed out in his same clothes, horizontal instead of vertical on the bed. And I did the same and we were out. But because I had recorded a solo, part one, in Italy on Monday, I think, and it was now Wednesday, I was waiting for that guy to upload and send to my team so then they could send it to me and I could review it quickly. And so we could push it out. The goal was to have it out the Sunday that I was still in Italy. So when I wake up, we're like, okay, like, you know, let's shower, let's get dressed, let's go hang out downstairs and let's go to, we had dinner reservations at a very local spot, also up very high on the mountain. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. So we go, we hang out. And the whole time in my mind, I catch myself like, I need to review this thing. I need to review this thing. And my team had it uploaded to our platform for me to review. And now Miami is 6 hours behind. We are 6 hours ahead. So I'm thinking like, okay, I still have time. I still have time. I still have time. Eventually, Brian caught on that I was like thinking about something. And then I told him and he starts laughing. He goes, you said no work. And now you're going back on it. And believe me, he's very quick to point those things out at me. Normally, Brian doesn't care. But when it comes to this, like no cell phones after this time, like this whole new thing we're trying this year, like boundaries with our professional lives and our personal lives. He's quick to spot, like to point it out that I'm not following my own rules. And so I'm like, no, no, no. And so I end up having this drink, which you guys know by now, I'm not a drinker, but in Italy, they have this thing called Aperol Spritz. We all know about this. However, I don't like Prosecco and I don't like bubbles. They upset my stomach. Not that I don't like it. Incorrect word. It upsets my stomach. So I told this to the guy and he's like, oh, he's like, let me make you something that we all drank here, no matter how old we were growing up. And he goes, it has Aperol in it, but I'll tell you what's in it after you try it. I'm like, okay. He's like, it's actually going to help your stomach. So it's like 7 CLs or MLs, whatever they use over there in metrics of Aperol. And then the rest of it is this like bitter orange sparkling water type drink. And San Pellegrino makes one, but in America, you only find the orange one. You don't find the bitter orange. You have to get the bitter orange one, which says Amara on the bottle. So he makes me this drink with just these 2 ingredients. And I'm like, it's like the best drink I've ever had. And yes, it was like completely settling my stomach. Like I was literally like so ravenous. I didn't feel full anymore. Like I just felt so good. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like this is incredible. And they give it to you in a wine glass with tons of ice. And so I'm getting like a little bit loosey-goosey and I'm getting really happy at this point, okay? And I could tell that I stopped thinking about this editing process that I have to do, or this review process that I have to do later on. We end up staying out at this restaurant and I'm just having a good old time to a point where it is now 10:30 p.m. And we are still sitting up on this mountain with a little tiny candle, just enjoying life while everybody else in the restaurant is laughing, enjoying themselves. Like it is your typical Italian scene. Like, you know, like the vision that we all have of Italians just being super happy, merry, eating, laughing, playing, drinking, and that's life. That is what we lived for like 12 days. That's exactly what we witnessed. That is how they live there. And so we kind of got lost in it too. Eventually, we're coming home. It's pitch black on the mountain. We're driving down. We get home and reality sets in for me. And I'm like, I have to review this damn thing. And I want to. If I'm being completely honest, I wanted to because I took so much time out of my days before to sit there and to record it with a cameraman and then to have him send it to my team and then they took the time to upload it. Like I wanted to do this. Don't get me wrong. Like I was very curious to see what it looked like or what it turned out to be like. So long story short, Brian passes out. It's like midnight at this point after a shower and I'm wired. I can't even sleep. And I was like, I'll do it in the morning when I wake up because I wake up pretty early every day. And I'm like, you know what? To hell with my rule. I want to do this. He's sleeping. This is not interfering with our trip or our personal commitment to one another to not work on this trip. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do this. So I go on our balcony and you guys that night, I think there was like a strawberry moon or something, like it was just a giant, it's called a strawberry moon. It was like huge overlooking the lake, literally glistening. It looked so fake. Like I took so many videos and pictures before I even got to work because I was like, I am like, this is not real. Like, this is not real world. And I sit on the balcony, open my computer, and I knock it out in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Go to sleep, woke up at 5, and went on for our next day. In the middle of the day, I end up telling Brian like that I did that. And he like looks at me and he goes, "You're a psycho." He's like, "You're telling me you went to bed at 2:30 and you're up at 5 this morning and you're totally functional right now?" He's like, "That's the problem." He's like, "I can't do what you do. I have to get all my work done in the middle of working hours. Otherwise, I won't go to sleep on time and I will not function the next day." And he goes, "That's why you can get away with this. That's why you can get away with not working and like committing to all of our rules that we made for ourselves. And then I'm over here and I've stuck to our rules." So it's like a funny like banter that we had, all in good fun, obviously. But yes, I am one of those few weird people who can kind of go a few days without sleep. It will catch up to me at some point, but I'm an early riser no matter what time I go to bed. And I have no regrets. I'm very happy that I did that. And I'm very happy that I waited till midnight when I just couldn't sleep to knock it out. And the reason I'm sharing this with you guys is that doesn't make somebody a hypocrite, okay? That doesn't mean that I went back on what I said or went back on something. And this is where I say, like, we are humans, we are complex beings, and you have to have grace for yourself. You can't be so rigid with everything, and you can't be so strict with everything. Where I saw a moment, where I saw a priority, and I was like, hey, I can actually sit here and do this, I did it. I've been harping to you guys in part 1 and half of part 2 that, like, it was not supposed to be work. It wasn't. I did do a little bit of work, and I'm happy I did. It turned out fine. It worked perfect. The next day, when we woke up after the wine tour, was the bike tour. This was something Brian was hesitant to do because he's like, I just don't want to ride up a mountain for. This was supposed to be like 4 or 5 hours, this whole bike tour. You know when you like are going on vacation somewhere and you're planning, like something sounds really good in theory. It's like, yeah, I want to go snorkeling and whitewater rafting and bike riding up a mountain, things you would never do in your home where you're living, like in your city. You would just do them on vacation. No fear has set into me yet. I do know that I haven't ridden a bike since, I don't know, like 6 years ago maybe. And listen, I was a pro biker. Like I wasn't scared. It was just like, okay, I haven't done this in a while. And I've never been on an electric bike. So in my mind, I'm thinking this will be easier in some ways, okay? The guy picks us up, okay? And he's this really skinny guy. He looks like an Italian version of Lance Armstrong. I'm not even exaggerating. He's in like the full biker gear and like the helmet, and it's like bright yellow, very skinny guy, probably in his 50s. And he's like, "Let's go. You guys ready?" And I'm like, oh my God, this is like so intense already. And something's clanking in the back of this van. And we've been in like nice cars this whole time. We are in like a van that you would get like kidnapped in. So we're going up the mountain at this point. We're going to a town called Menaggio, which is 10 minutes away from Tremezzo. So we go up the thing. He opens the back and it's 3 bikes, 1 for him, 2 for us. They're like big. They're clunky. I feel like the bike is so heavy that I'm going to fall, like I didn't even know like how to get on the bike without falling. And I did trip a few times. And then he's like teaching you how to like use it and like the little like monitor, and you click it and then it turns this on and the gear and this and that. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's teaching me things. Brian's standing here learning. And I look up in front of me and all I see is a really tall, windy road mountain going uphill. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, like the fear just starts to set into me. Cause I'm not a daredevil by any means, but as you guys know, I do try to push my limits, and I push myself in all areas of my life because I think leaning into the fear is what helps you grow. I'm all about, turning on new synapses in your brain, new neural pathways, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like we got to throw ourselves into something to grow as people. And I also think that's like one of the biggest anti-aging hacks out there is to always be doing something new and pushing your boundaries. So I'm looking, and Brian notices that I'm like freezing at this point. And he's like, "Babe, we don't have to do this if you don't want to." And I don't know what happens to me. Like a switch goes off in my mind. And I look at him and I was like, I can do anything. We're going to do this. And inside, I am like screaming. I am shaking inside. All the guy wanted us to do to get lined up to go was have me go up over this little hill and come down. Brian would follow me and then we'd all be behind him and we're off on our tour. I couldn't even do that. I got stuck at the bottom of the hill and I'm trying to make the bike go. I can't even pedal and I can't figure out the gears, and like I should be in turbo mode or EM mode or MTB mode and all these modes that are electric on the thing. And so again, I stop and Brian says, "We don't have to do this if you don't want to." And I don't answer him. I don't say anything. I'm just like looking at the tire of my bike and I'm looking at this hill and I'm like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm not going to back down. I'm here for my birthday, okay? I'm hitting a milestone for myself. Like, I'm doing this. Like a 5-year-old would do it, okay? No fear. This is me walking the talk because I'm literally doing something I'm so scared of, riding on the streets and on these mountains in Italy. First of all, it's gorgeous. I'm sure you guys will see the other footage. But like, this is how you create new neural pathways. I haven't ridden a bike in like 6 or 7 years. I've never ridden an e-bike, and that's what this is. And e-bikes, actually, contrary to what people think, are not that easy. Like, you're still pedaling and working. But like, look at these trucks coming and like we're driving next to them. But this is how you, like, when you do hard things, you train your mind and body to not be afraid. So like, this is gonna parlay into other areas of our lives. So when I was booking this, I was all about it. And then when I got on the bike, he'll tell you and Brian will tell you, I kind of got off for a couple minutes because I got scared. But then I just got back on. And that's
oh my goodness!
Stop it.
I can't do this!
It's like when you go on vacation, it's like go do things that are new and outside of your comfort zone. Put your body there so your mind is forced to show itself that you can do anything. I get up the hill, it was a little shaky, kind of wobbled a few times. The guy had to come help me, but we're off on our trip. You guys, not even 5 minutes into this bike tour, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank God I did this. Thank God we're here. Thank God I didn't quit. The scenery and the surroundings and the nature sounds and the little homes and their gardens and people running their tractors in the morning in their gardens and the cows with their bells on, like, it was the most beautiful, picturesque part of Italy that I had ever gotten to see in all the days that I was there up until that point. Like, I was in heaven. And although there were moments where like I couldn't like look and ride my bike at the same time, like where I'm like, Nina, look to your right, Nina, look to your left, I would stop and look and just like take it all in. Like, that's how beautiful this area was. I can't even, I mean, the words just don't do it any justice. It was just the most magical tour ride that I've ever been on. And you know what it made me think? Like, I can't wait to get to Tuscany. I think Tuscany would be this on steroids. So this is like 3 or 4 hours of us riding through like puddles and up the mountain, down the mountain, on brick roads, on pebble roads. That was really scary. There was a lot of moments that were very scary for me still, even throughout the whole thing. And all I would say to myself was, I can do anything. I can do anything. I can do anything. Because when you were walking, there's like giant pebble stones at certain points throughout the tour where your bike is, you don't know how to balance, you're falling. And I didn't fall, but I did like hop off my bike a few times because the bike got wobbly. But to make things a little bit worse, you had trucks, giant trucks coming in this way or cars speeding next to you. And you had this much of a lane for you and your bike on a pebble road. That's where I got kind of scared several times. I think one time I braked so hard, Brian, to prevent himself from hitting me, braked also, and he fell off his bike behind me. I'm laughing about this and it's so mean of me. But I just remember hearing him falling and being like, oh, well, at least I didn't fall. And he's in the back, like, seriously, Nina? You couldn't know? He's like, could you brake a little bit slower? Just keep going. If you stop, I'm going to fall. And I just kept going and laughing. The bike guy was getting a kick out of us, the tour guide. All in all, we were riding 3 hours and we end up at a lake. So we were at Lake Como this whole time, right? We ended up at a lake called Lago de Piano. My God, it was the most beautiful lake ever. The lake is very serene. Like, it's just a quiet lake. That's what this lake was like, glass. And you could see the reflection of all the mountains. So the mountains on the other side of this lake that we were seeing the reflections of, or if you were looking straight on, you could see them, was Switzerland. So we were seeing all this while being over here in Italy. And it was just so gorgeous. And while I'm thinking about this, and by the way, it was more pretty than the lake in the Notebook, but it's just the most serene lake that's all I could think of when I was standing there. And the colors too, like blue, just pure blue. And as we're standing there all talking, the three of us, I'm looking out on the lake and what do I see? But like out into the distance, coming towards us, a boat, someone rowing it and someone else sitting in it. And it was just like the scene from the Notebook. I was just thinking it and now it was happening. It was so cool to see that happening. And then over here on the steps where we were standing was a girl younger than me with 2 dogs, not on her cell phone, not reading a book, not recording anything, just sitting there with her dogs, staring out into the lake. looking at the mountains and just hanging out. We ended up talking to her because ended up playing with her dogs. And it turns out that she goes there once a day with her dogs and just sits there for like an hour or two with her dogs and just thinks about life. I mean, I don't think I've ever witnessed that in my adult life here. I've done it as a child. I used to go to Lake Scranton all the time. I didn't have a cell phone back then, and I would just sit at the edge of the little spout for hours and just think about how I'm mad at someone or my parents grounded me or whatever, you know. But as an adult, I don't know when the last time is that I just stared out into the abyss for an hour and was with myself or with nature. You know, even when with my dogs, I do take my phone. It was just a very beautiful experience. While we're standing there, the guy goes, okay, he's like, to end the tour before we head back down, I'm going to take you to the end of this lake. It's even more pretty. It's even more beautiful. So it's like 5-minute bike ride. We're going, it's like all rocks and stuff. So at this point, I'm comfortable in the bike, so the rocks don't bother me. We get there and there's this huge, beautiful like deck area. And all of a sudden from the distance, I hear like a bunch of chattering. And I'm like, what is this? Like I just hear kids, a bunch of kids. It's summer camp. A week ago, all of Italy went on summer break. So it's just a bunch of kids at summer camp. And I'm talking like maybe like 50, 60 kids. And they're screaming and they're laughing and they're playing. And like, I don't know, it's just so beautiful. No one has phones. And they're all coming to that deck where we were standing because it had picnic tables on it, overlooking on the lake to eat their lunch. And I'm just standing there. The kids are swarming us, by the way. It's like, it just like they all came to us. We just didn't move. And I just kind of like took my surroundings in. And I was just like, they don't care that we're there. They're just like swarming us, too busy in their world and their life, like doing their thing. And Brian and I are kind of just like, this is such a beautiful moment, you know? And my mind, obviously, and my focus goes right on their lunches. Like, what do they eat for lunch? Like, what do these kids eat for lunch? Probably like spectacular, you know? They have like prosciutto or like fresh deli meat that their parents gave them. They have sandwiches. The one girl, she was so cute. She was like this tall and like tiny little frame and body, but the sandwich was bigger than her head. Like all homemade meals. Nobody was ripping out of Lunchables or like ripping off a foil top off like a Go-Gurt or a yogurt thing. Like, trust me, I was looking for it. When I knew what I was witnessing, lunchtime in Italy for kids, I was looking for the processed food. I was looking for the packaged food. Nowhere. So anyway, we take in that moment. It was a really beautiful moment. And how happy those kids were. And we go down the mountain, which I did with flying colors, by the way. Like there was like one part where I did the gear wrong, so that it wasn't pedaling, and I was kind of just flying down the mountain. So I had to brake and stop and get some help. But now you got to see different parts of the mountain and kind of explore different views of the mountain, where like the houses that I would see when we were going up were uphill. Now you could see in the back of the houses going downhill, and just almost every home had their own garden. Every single home had their own garden, their own tractors, growing their own food. And by this point, it was mid-afternoon, everybody was outside of their homes, drying their clothes, doing laundry. Something I did notice on this bike ride, and it made me notice things more once we got back down and we're touring the rest of Italy. Italy is very clean. You won't find trash in the lake. You won't find litter on the streets. You won't find any garbage or littering anywhere. But you also won't see people working to pick it up or clean it, or garbage trucks or anything. I don't know how they managed to do this, but it is a very, very clean country. And I went to Milan afterwards too for a few days. Same thing, a very clean city. So after spending like about 8 or 9 days in Como, Tremezzo particularly, and going around all the neighboring towns and cities, we went to Milan because I wanted to hit one major city while we were over there. So we went to Milan, got up really early, checked out. That was bittersweet for me because you know what? Already, like the day before we were leaving, I was kind of starting to feel like I don't want to leave. Like I love it here. But in my mind, I was like thinking that I'm leaving Italy, but really I got to go see another city. So Brian's like, we're not leaving Italy. He's like, we're going to Milan for 2 more days. He's like, so you don't get to leave just yet. He's like, so be happy. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, you're right. So we get in the car, we go to Milan, and the drive there is super easy. It's like an hour away from where we were, but an immediate shift. I mean, when we entered Milan, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. So when we got in, I'm like seeing like bits of London, the feels of Philadelphia, some like Roman stuff. Like it was kind of like a mix of feelings that I was trying to like my mind was trying to process and like label it, and I could feel that. Like I was trying to label Milan as we were driving right into the city to get to our hotel. And again, how clean. I'm noticing how clean and pristine everything is, how gorgeous the buildings are, how ornate they are. You'll have like streets and rows of a building that is just like, I don't even know, straight out of a magazine, off maybe from a TV show. Like it was gorgeous. And I immediately know I was like, I'm gonna have fun here. We pull onto this really quiet street. It has like these, think of any designer you could think of, like Zegna, you have Brunello Cucinelli, you have Sandro, you have Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada. All these stores were like on this road and the road next to it, which are gorgeous streets, by the way, very quiet. You'd think that they would be hustling and bustling. Like I was expecting a design district or King of Prussia type vibes. No, this was quiet. We pull up to our hotel, we get out, we check in, we go upstairs, and we're both just like, the energy shifted. So Como was laid back, which was what we needed, right? But when you got to Milan, you're like, I want to go out and have some fun. Like I want to get into the mix of the scene. So we change our clothes, we walk right outside of our hotel, and we just start like hitting up all the shops. And I don't know, I just felt like I was in like a really big, bustling, fun, loud city. And we're walking through. As the day goes on, I'm not saying anything and Brian's not saying anything. And eventually he goes, hey, are you like done anytime soon? I think I have to go back and lay down. And I'm like, yeah, I can be done. Like, what's up? He's like, I don't know. I just feel really off. And I'm like, I honestly feel like I have a heat stroke. Like he goes, yeah, that's how I feel. Milan was so hot. You guys, I know what hot is. I live in Miami and I stay here in the summers. Like I know what hot is. Also, I've been to India. I know what heat is again, okay? This heat was different. And supposedly, it was like the hottest day that Milan has had this year. And it's abnormal for it to get this hot. But like, it's like blind leading the blind. Mo and Larry over here are like running around in this heat from store to store. And that's why it was so quiet in Milan on those streets, because of the heat, okay? Everybody was inside. We're out like wandering the streets here with no water, no nothing. So we go back to the hotel, hung out for a little bit, and I went downstairs to ask concierge for like an authentic Italian dinner, which is exactly what we had. Came back, and then now the next morning, we're still in Milan, but we have a tour for like 4 or 5 hours. Again, record-breaking heat temperatures in Milan, very abnormal for the first week of June. Both woke up and were like, this is where the exhaustion had hit. This is Saturday morning. Sunday morning, we're supposed to fly out. And something just in both of us were just like, we're tired, like, don't want to go. I tried calling the tour people and I was like, can we push it an hour? Like, they're like, no, like the tour guide has other tours to do after you, whatever. So we go. And the first thing we see is Duomo. I hope I'm saying this right. So there are 4 really, really large cathedrals in the world. 2 of them are in Italy, 1 is in Spain, 1 is in London. This is the first one I've seen. We go to see Duomo, which is like that giant cathedral that you guys see everywhere, like on TV and in magazines when they show you Italy or Milan. Super ornate, gorgeous, beautiful, Gothic structure. And honestly, like when you're standing there, you experience like the magnitude of this building, of this piece of art. It's not a building, it's a piece of art. It's a work of art. And before you're even walking up to it, I mean like half a mile away, you see it from afar. It's huge, it's beautiful. And I'm thinking like, wow, like what a way to start the day. So we entered the back and we went straight up to the terraces, like at the top of the cathedral. And unbeknownst to people who haven't gone, you only find out when you go that there's always scaffolding around buildings like this because they're always improving them, they're always preserving them, they're always fixing something. And so when you got closer, you saw the scaffolding around it, at least on the one side of the Duomo. And she's like, we're going to go to the other side, and we're going to go to the terraces so you could see how intricate this cathedral really is. It's not just work on the outside of the building, it's the things that they created inside the building on the top as well. So we go, she's giving us the tour. And at some point during the tour, I start to like space out, which is not like me at all. And I start to feel physically something is pulling me. And I know this sounds crazy, just stay with me for a second. Like something's pulling me. I already know that I have an affinity to Italy. We've established this. I'm meant to be here. I had a past life here, like something, I have a connection here. That was proven to me from day one when we got there. But standing in this cathedral, I was like, physically, it's like something was telling me, go here, go there. And I've never had this experience before, so this was very new for me. Go here, go there, go look at this. Put your phone down. Don't record this. Go there. And so I end up landing, moving on from the rest of the group and seeing this old picture from 1915 or 1918. I can't remember the year. There's a black and white picture this big right in the middle of one of the terraces outside at the top of the cathedral. And I like gravitate towards it for some reason. And I walk up to it and I start reading it. Next thing you know, I'm looking at the picture. It's right where I'm standing. It's the vantage point. So I'm standing here. The picture was taken from right where I'm standing in 1915 or 1918. And it's the view that I'm looking down at and around me. And I'm like going back and forth, going back and forth. And I had the most out of body experience in that moment that it made me get very emotional and start crying. Now, mind you, there's tours going on. There's people walking by. There's people taking pictures and videos. I can hear Brian and my tour guide talking like way back there. And I just can't control it. Like, I'm sure nobody could tell looking at me because I was kind of like very quiet, but I just like, I mean, the tears are just streaming like a waterfall. And I'm in it. And I'm like, what is going on? Why am I feeling this way? Like, what is it? And it sounds so crazy. Like, a voice literally says, like, I literally hear a voice in my head and it's just like, you were here. You were here before. You've lived here before. You've walked on that street down there that you're looking at the picture of. You were here before. You know, like the difference of like thinking something, believing something versus like knowing something? I just knew that like that was something in my soul or like somewhere deep rooted connection to God or my soul or to whatever it is in that moment. Something clicked, something connected to almost not make it real for me, but almost to like, I felt like it was like something comforting me and like telling me like, you're not crazy. You have been here and this is why you've loved this place since you were a little girl, even though you've never been here. Like this is a part of your story and this is part of your home and this is part of you in some way. Something is remembering something. I wiped my face really quick and I was there for a solid 3-4 minutes, by the way, just absorbing and experiencing all of this. But now I was on guard, like I was paying attention to the rest of the tour. So we're on, we do the rest of the tour. It gets more and more beautiful. I can't even put this into words. If you guys ever get a chance to go, definitely go see Duomo and get a tour guide to go, to take you and to show you all these things. I mean, they have the most intricate things. They have like a face of Abraham Lincoln carved. That was another thing that I kind of became aware of. One of those like revelations that I had on this trip was I asked the tour guide, I'm like, so you're telling me that they didn't have architects or engineers? That's not what they called them back then. And I'm like, so whoever chose or whatever group of people chose to build this and construct this knew that they were not going to ever see it finished. And she's like, yeah, back then people just did things to do things. It was art. It was a work of art. It was something to leave behind. And it was most importantly for God. Okay. Religion was like at the height at the time in Italy back then. So it was an act of service for a bigger purpose for the greater good. That's how people looked at things. And when she told me that, I remember like kind of just thinking like, wow, that's another thing we've lost. You know, kind of connecting the dots back to the winery and like how people have done this for 7 to 8 generations, never sold to the public, kept everything in the family. And still to this day, that's how they do things. But now they're trying to share it with the public so they can know like what's good wine and what's bad wine and how you should be making cheese and how you should be making pasta from scratch. What is really healthy for us? What are the serving sizes of wine that are healthy for us? Not a giant glass, not 2 glasses, just tiny 4 ounces. It made me think of that it's in their culture. It's there for thousands and thousands of years. Italians, everything that they do with love and passion. I didn't see a capitalistic reason for doing things. I didn't see a selfish, egotistical reason for doing something. And from my vantage point, it was still very much intact in the areas that I had visited, which made me feel reflective, but very happy because there are a lot of choices and decisions that I am making consciously about our media company and this show and the other arms that I am not ready to disclose yet, but that we are in the works of creating under this one company. And although I have Brian and like lawyers and business partners chirping and saying, well, how are you going to do this? And how are you going to do that? And I am very much sticking to my inner instinct, which is quality over quantity and solving problems and solutions that maybe I won't get to use, but the industry will and the generations to come will. That is it. That is where I'm in my flow. That is my passion. That is my purpose. That's what makes me get up every single day and kind of go against the grain and go against logic. And if I had done this 3-4 years ago, I would have put logic and numbers first on everything. That's part of my mission. And that's part of the reason why we're trying to document everything that I'm doing from scratch, from day one, no matter how messy or how ugly or how unglamorous all of this looks behind the scenes, is to show you guys it is possible. When you have the truest and purest of intentions and you fearlessly follow your heart and your gut, you will be successful and you will attain the end result that you want to attain. Everything within reason, of course. You know, I'm not trying to go bankrupt trying to do this by any means, and I'm not trying to waste my time either. But with that being said, it was almost like I wasn't thinking about work. I'm not worried about work. But there was 2 examples back to back that were just solidifying my heart and my path that I have chosen, that I have to keep these things intact. And with the stuff that I'm working on, the quality matters. The products that I'm working on that are, food related, quality matters. And that is what's taking me so long. And I'm not going to skimp. And although I have people chirping in my ear, like, you have to be able to scale this and this has to grow this and this, the demand and this and that, and how are you going to supply it if it's such high demand? And I'm just like, I'm not going to do anything at the cost of quality. And I feel as though Italy blatantly, obviously showed me, Nina, stay on your path. You're doing the right thing. This is what our world needs right now. This is what consumers need right now. This is what kids, young kids, grown-ups, whomever's going to use my products or eat my products or drink this is what we need. This is what we're lacking, and you're going to solve this problem. And it's not going to be about the bottom line. The bottom line will come. Don't get me wrong. It will come. It will be successful. It will be fine. But stay on track. Like, you know what you're doing. And so I had another emotional breakdown in the middle of Duomo at this point. This time, Brian and the tour guide are like, what the heck is going on? And I kind of like pulled to the side, and Brian's like, what's going on? And I just told him, and he's just like, and he like looks at me with like really sad eyes, and he's just like, I'm sorry that I didn't listen to you sooner and like try to make a conscious effort to bring us here sooner. And he's like, obviously this means a lot to you. Like, I'm on like, I cried when the plane landed in the airport when we got to Italy. Like, I'm crying here. Like, I'm not a crier, by the way, guys. Like, so this is awkward for Brian, like he knows she doesn't just cry for no reason. I'll argue, I'll fight, I'll throw a fit, I'll stop talking. I will go do something extreme to like shake it off, but I'm not going to sit there and cry. These emotions were not sadness. These emotions were just validation, I think, without asking for it, being shown that I am right to do what I'm doing in a world when I come back here. It's like, you can't grow if you don't do it this way. You can't do this if you don't do it this way. And just knowing that I was right all along with my heart and being shown that I should have more confidence in the path that I'm taking, more confidence in the choices and direction that I'm taking the companies in. And there's nothing wrong with that. If there's a little bit of imposter syndrome creeping up, push it away, because I know deep down in my heart, and today now that I'm sitting here, it's not deep in my heart, it's right here, like it's front and center out, that I am right where I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to create these things. I'm meant to do this. People don't speak about these things till they're uber successful. People don't talk about these things because they're afraid. I am sharing this at the very beginning stages of what I'm creating, because this is how I feel. In the midst of doubt, in the midst of chaos, in the midst of unknown, in the midst of not having the bottom line yet, it's still how I feel, and that's what I'm following. That's what I'm fueling. That's what I'm feeding. That's what I'm trusting. And I do really, truly believe that this is how people grow successful companies. They believe in something and know something even when the world can't see it to be true yet. And I'm experiencing it right now, and I feel a pull and a calling to share that with the world, no matter how crazy it sounds or how crazy it looks. That's that.